very important for theory, viva, practical. You have to know all the nerves of the brachial plexus, their relations, okay? Very important for your SUPEX, superior extremity. All the nerves you will get, all of them are coming from the brachial plexus, okay? Brachial plexus is a nerve plexus, okay, and that supplies the upper extremity. Brachial plexus arises by combination of the cervical spinal nerves. See, this is section of the spinal cord, okay. It has a dorsal root and one ventral root. This is gray matter of the spinal cord is inner part. This is butterfly shaped, okay. It has two main horns. Anterior horn is short and broad, posterior horn is long and narrow. From posterior horn, dorsal root arises, and from anterior horn, ventral root is arising. These two roots are joining together to form the spinal nerve, okay. After formation, it has a communication with the sympathetic fibers, and then it is dividing into two rami. One is dorsal primary rami, one is ventral primary rami, okay. And in the dorsal root there is a ganglion. This ganglion is known as dorsal root ganglion, okay. So brachial plexus is a nerve plexus that supplies the upper extremity, and it arises by combination of cervical spinal nerve. So here the spinal nerve is forming like this. So these spinal nerves, mainly the ventral primary rami, will join to form the brachial plexus. See here this is section of spinal cord, anterior root, posterior root, and there is some lateral horn is also present in some regions, and this is central canal of the spinal cord, and through this horizontal part the two sides are connected, and dorsal root, ventral roots are joining to form the spinal nerve. Within the dorsal root there is a ganglion known as dorsal root ganglion, and this spinal nerve is connected with this sympathetic chain and via two rami communicants. We will see later, gray and white rami communicant is. After that it is giving ventral primary ramus which is larger in size, and dorsal primary ramus which is smaller in size. Dorsal primary rami is going to supply the back muscles, okay, and the ventral primary rami are joining to form different nerve plexus at different levels. At the level of superior extremity, it is forming the brachial plexus. Later, it is forming the thoracic plexuses, different thoracic plexuses. Then in the abdomen, lumbar plexus, sacral plexus, coccygeal plexus, like this, the nerve plexuses will be formed from the spinal nerves, okay. So today we are discussing brachial plexus. So these are the spinal nerves. There are 31 pairs of spinal nerves are there on each side of the spinal cord. Cervical 8, thoracic 12, lumbar 5, sacral 5, and coccygeal 1 pair, okay. Number varies from the number of vertebra, cervical one only. 7 cervical vertebra but 8 cervical nerves, okay. Rest all the same. Each spinal nerve has two roots, dorsal sensory root and ventral motor root, okay. Dorsal root is sensory. Sensation are coming from the skin or some other areas to the spinal cord via the dorsal root. And motor roots, this helps in different action of the muscle, action of the gland. So this ventral root is the motor root, okay. Dorsal root has dorsal root ganglion, that is sensory ganglion, it is sensory path. So this is sensory ganglion. And this ganglion has pseudo-unipolar neurons that peripheral processes to carry sensation and central processes that enter in the dorsal horn of the spinal cord. And motor root arises from the ventral horn cells here of the spinal cord and supplies the muscles and different organs. Lateral horn cells are present here. This is the lateral horn. Lateral horns is not present in all the areas. It is present in thoracic, upper lumbar and sacral region of the spinal cord. Okay, understood? So 3 horns are present in the spinal cord, gray matter of the spinal cord. anterior horn, posterior horn, this is lateral. See here the communication with the sympathetic trunk. See, this is ventral root. Ventral root is carrying motor fibers, okay? And they are going, the communication with the sympathetic chain. These are the sympathetic ganglion. This dilated part are the ganglion. Here over the sensory root, there is one sensory dorsal root ganglion. And here, these preganglionic fibers are entering through the sympathetic ganglion via the white rami communicantis. This is important for your Viva and MCQs, okay? So, white rami communicantis is carrying preganglionic fibers. Here one relay is occurring, and from here postganglionic neuron is arising, which is passing through the gray rami communicantis, and they are passing through the spinal nerve. Okay, understood? So, white rami communicantis carries preganglionic fiber, gray rami communicantis carrying the postganglionic fibers. Okay, and this ventral root is carrying the motor fibers, dorsal root is carrying the sensory fibers. Understood? Okay, see here, this fiber is going to supply different areas of trachea, and here collateral ganglion formation. These are part of the autonomic nervous system. Okay, sympathetic and parasympathetic is together called autonomic nervous system. The sympathetic ganglions are also part of that system. Okay. So, sympathetic fibers arising from the lateral horn cells enter the ventral root and then the chain of sympathetic ganglion via the gray rami communicantis, and postganglionic sympathetic fibers join the spinal nerve through the white rami communicantis. And this each spinal nerve divides into ventral and dorsal ramus, and dorsal ramus supplies the muscles and skin of the back, and ventral ramus supplies the anterolateral part of the trunk and the limb. So, what are the components of the brachial plexus? You prepare a long question from brachial plexus. It comes in your theory long question. Okay. So, brachial plexus is the nerve plexus that is derived from the ventral primary rami of lower four cervical spinal nerves C5 to C8, C5, C6, C7, C8 and T1, first thoracic spinal nerve. See here, it is forming, these are the roots, ventral primary rami of the spinal nerve C5, C6, C7, C8 and T1, okay. Brachial plexus consists of these components. First, there are roots. Roots are the ventral primary rami of C5 to C8 and T1 nerves. And then they join to form three trunks. Three trunks derived from the roots, upper, middle and lower trunk. See here. The C5 and C6 root joining to form the upper trunk. C7 root continues at the middle trunk, and C8 and T1 root join to form the lower trunk. Okay. And after that, after formation of trunk, each of the trunk is dividing into anterior and posterior divisions. See here the division is occurring, and these divisions will join to form the cords. Okay. Here the divisions are joining to form three cords: posterior cord, lateral cord and medial cord. These names are given posterior, lateral and medial according to their relation with the axillary artery. Okay. And from these cords, they are giving branches. There are multiple branches, we will discuss in details. So you can see the roots, trunks and divisions. Up to this level, it is supraclavicular. So this was position of the clavicular. Roots, trunks and divisions are supraclavicular, and the cords and the branches of the cords are infraclavicular in location. Okay. Every term of brachial plexus asked in your Viva, MCQ and long question. Okay. All these are important. Which part is supraclavicular, which part is infraclavicular, all those branches, their supplying area, all is important. So roots are ventral primary rami of C5 to C8 and T1 nerves. Trunks are three trunks derived from roots, upper, middle and lower trunk. And there are divisions. Divisions, each trunk divides into anterior and posterior divisions, and cords. The divisions join to form three cords, medial, lateral and posterior cord. And there are branches, various nerves arise from each cord. See here the branches. We have discussed the roots, trunks, divisions, and then cords. And now the cords are giving branches. From the lateral cord, there are three branches, L, M, L. You can remember like this. So lateral root of median nerve, this is median nerve formation. This lateral root of median nerve, this musculocutaneous nerve, and lateral pectoral nerve. So this brown colored, these are from lateral cord. Okay, lateral root of median nerve, musculocutaneous nerve, and lateral pectoral nerve. These are three branches from the lateral cord. Next, we are going to medial cord. Medial cord have five branches. You can remember like M4U. Five nerves are starting from M, and one is ulnar nerve. So here is this red colored one representing branch of the medial cord. This is ulnar nerve, medial cutaneous nerve of arm. Here is the medial cutaneous nerve of arm, medial cutaneous nerve of the forearm, okay, and medial pectoral nerve and the medial root of the median nerve. These are the five branches from the medial cord of brachial plexus. Okay. Next we are going to posterior cord. This one is the posterior cord. It is giving branches. First is this one is, you can remember like ultra, ULTRA. Okay. U is the upper subscapular nerve. L is the lower subscapular nerve. T is thoracodorsal nerve. Thoracodorsal nerve is also known as nerve 2 latissimus dorsi. It is supplying the latissimus dorsi muscle. ULTRR is the radial nerve and A is the axillary nerve. So all these are branch from the posterior cord of the brachial plexus, and this posterior cord lies posterior to the axillary artery. You have to retract the artery to visualize this posterior cord and its branches. Okay, understood? So these branches are important. So roots. Roots are ventral primary rami of lower four cervical spinal nerves C5 to C6, and you practice a schematic diagram like this for brachial plexus. Okay, a drawing is important. So practice a schematic diagram. So ventral primary rami of lower four cervical spinal nerve C5 to C8 and first thoracic spinal nerve T1 forms the roots of brachial plexus. What is prefix and what is postfix brachial plexus? This is important for your Viva. Okay, Viva and MCQ. So if the ventral ramus of fourth cervical spinal nerve C4, it is starting from C5. Okay, so if the C4 contributes in the brachial plexus, it is called prefixed brachial plexus. And what is postfixed brachial plexus? It is extending up to T1. Roots are extending up to T1. If T2 is also contributing, then it is postfixed. So if ventral ramus of second thoracic spinal nerve contributes in the brachial plexus, it is called postfixed brachial plexus. Okay. So these are the discussion of roots. Next we are going to trunks. Roots of the brachial plexus joins to form three trunks. These are the three trunks: upper trunk, middle trunk, lower trunk. Upper trunk formed by joining of C5 and C6 roots. Middle trunk is continuation of C7 root, and lower trunk is formed by joining of C8 and T1 roots. So these are the different different components. Okay. So first is the root, ventral primary rami of C5 to C8 and T1 spinal nerves. Trunks are upper trunk formed by joining of C5, C6 roots. Middle trunk is continuation of C7 root, and lower trunk is formed by joining of C8 and T1 root. Next, each of the trunk is divided into anterior and posterior divisions, and these divisions will join to form the cords. Cords are three number: lateral cord, medial cord, posterior cord. Lateral cord is formed by union of anterior divisions of upper and middle trunk. Medial cord is continuation of anterior division of lower trunk. and posterior cord is formed by union of posterior division of all the trunks. Okay, so this is formation of up to the formation of cords. Okay, so again, like a schematic diagram like this, you can practice. Okay, roots, trunks, division, cords, and their branches you have to show in the diagram. So these are the roots C5, C6, C7, C8, T1. They are joining to form the trunk. Upper trunk formed by joining of C5, C6 root. C7 is continuous at the middle trunk. C8, T1 join to form the lower trunk. Okay, and you can see there are some branches from the roots. This is dorsal scapular nerve, which is branch of the root. And this C5, some branches arising from C5, C6, C7, they are joining to form the long thoracic nerve. Long thoracic nerve is supplying to serratus anterior muscle, okay, lying on the medial wall of the axilla. Serratus anterior muscle prevents the winging of the scapula. You have seen during scapula. Okay, next we are going to branches of the trunks. Branches of the trunks, two important branches are suprascapular nerve and the nerve to subclavius. Subclavius muscle you have got during clavicle. Nerve to subclavius is branch of the trunk. And suprascapular nerve you have got passing through the suprascapular notch of the scapula. Through the spinoglenoid notch it was passing. Okay. And this point where the two roots are joining and these branches are given and it is dividing into anterior posterior divisions. So 6 nerves are joining here, 2 roots, 2 divisions and 2 branches. So this point is known as Ab's point. Okay, there is chance of injury to at this point during the delivery of the fetus if head is extended too much. And there will be some paralysis that is known as Ab's paralysis. Okay, so this is the point of injury for Ab's paralysis. So after the trunks we are going to the divisions and you can see anterior divisions of upper and middle trunk join to form the lateral cord. All the posterior divisions are joining to form the posterior cord and the anterior division of the lower trunk continues as the medial cord. Next it is giving the branches. Lateral cord is giving medial root of median nerve, musculocutaneous nerve and the lateral root of median nerve, musculocutaneous nerve and the lateral pectoral nerve. LML is given by the lateral cord. Medial cord have M4U, medial root of the median nerve, medial cutaneous nerve of forearm, medial cutaneous nerve of arm, medial pectoral nerve and the medial root of median nerve, ulnar nerve. Okay, M4U given by the medial cord. Next, posterior cord, it is giving 5 branches, ultra, upper subscapular nerve, lower subscapular nerve, thoracodorsal nerve, which is nerve to latissimus dorsi, radial nerve and axillary nerve. Okay, so these are the branches of different cords. Understood? You practice writing of all those branches, very frequently asked in your viva table, important for theory. Okay. So next we are going to trunks. Trunks of brachial plexus lies in the neck here. These are the trunks. They emerge between the scalenus anterior and scalenus medius muscles. These are some neck muscles. Trunks descend downward and laterally and lower trunk passes posterior to the subclavian artery whereas upper and middle trunk pass behind the artery. Okay. These are the relation of the trunks with the subclavian artery. Next we are going to divisions. Each trunk divides into anterior and posterior divisions. Their relation, trunks divide in the lowest part of the neck to form the division. And each divisions enter the axilla through the cervicoaxillary canal where they form the cords. This cervicoaxillary canal is forming the apex of the axilla. Okay, and through it enters into the axilla. All the divisions, then they were joining to form the cords and then giving the branches. So divisions join to form 3 cords, medial, lateral and posterior cord. Lateral cord formed by union of ventral division of upper and middle trunk. Medial cord as continuation of ventral division of lower trunk and posterior cord is formed by union of dorsal division of all the trunks. What is the relation? Cords and their branches form the infraclavicular part of the brachial plexus. Relations with first part of the axillary artery, medial and posterior cords lie behind the artery, whereas lateral cord lie lateral to the artery. And relation with second part, this is important. According to the relation with the second part of axillary artery, the names are given. Okay, names of the cords are given. Medial cord lies medial, posterior cord lies posterior, and lateral cord lies lateral to the second part of the axillary artery. Okay, understood? This is asked in your viva. How to identify the cords in the brachial plexus. These are important during your dissection. You have to see the axillary dissection of axilla and arm. You have to identify all the cords, their different branches. Okay. So how to identify the cords of brachial plexus? Trace the following nerves upward. Lateral root of median nerve or musculocutaneous nerve, you have to trace upward to identify the lateral cord. It lies lateral to the axillary artery. Next is medial root of median nerve or ulnar nerve, you have to trace upward to identify the medial cord, and it lies between the axillary artery and axillary vein. And radial nerve, you have to trace the radial nerve upward to identify the posterior cord or reflect the axillary artery, as posterior cord lies deep to the artery. Okay, it lies in posterior relation to the artery, and the roots, trunks and divisions of brachial plexus lie in the neck, whereas cords and their branches lie in the axilla. Okay. Next we are going to branches of the brachial plexus, branches of the roots. These are important for your viva and MCQ. Branches of the root, branches of the trunk, these are specifically asked, okay, during viva table also, during bones viva or like this. So branches of roots are 4 branches. Nerve to serratus anterior or long thoracic nerve. You have seen in the picture long thoracic nerve supplying the serratus anterior. Nerve to rhomboidus major and minor. They have, you have seen attachments in the scapula, rhomboidus major and minor. This is nerve is the dorsal scapular nerve, and root values are also important. Okay, nerve to serratus anterior C5 to C7, dorsal scapular nerve C5, and branches to longus colli and scaleni muscles, scalenus anterior, medius and posterior. These are coming from C5 to C8 roots. Okay, and phrenic nerve root value is very, very important. C3, C4, C5. Okay, this is the root value. Phrenic nerve is going to supply the diaphragm. Okay, only motor supply to the diaphragm. If paralysis occur in this phrenic nerve, there will be respiration will stop and there will be death. Okay, so this is important nerve. Next is branches of the trunks. From the upper trunk, these 2 nerves are arising at the ups point. Suprascapular nerve, root value is C5, C6 for supraspinatus and infraspinatus muscle. You have seen during scapula, supraspinatus, infraspinatus, and nerve to subclavius. This is supplies the subclavius muscle attached to the clavicle, and this is root value C5 and C6. Okay. Next we are going to branches of the cords. We have seen in the picture from the lateral cord, LML, lateral pectoral nerve, musculocutaneous nerve, lateral root of median nerve. And here is M4U for branches of medial cord, medial pectoral nerve, medial cutaneous nerve of arm, medial cutaneous nerve of forearm, medial root of median nerve and ulnar nerve. Okay. And here branches of posterior cord, ultra, upper subscapular nerve, lower subscapular nerve, thoracodorsal nerve, radial nerve, axillary nerve. Okay, so these are the branches of these 3 cords. So we are going to discuss these branches in details. They are supplying area, different clinical aspect, you have to know. Okay, first is long thoracic nerve, branches of roots and trunks of brachial plexus. its root value is C5, C6, C7, arises from ventral primary rami of C5 to C7 in the neck, and it passes behind the trunks of brachial plexus and subclavian artery and anterior to the scalenus medius muscle, enters the axilla behind the axillary artery and cords of brachial plexus. And how you will identify the nerve? This is important for your OSPE. Long thoracic nerve is given in your OSPE. It passes on the lateral surface of serratus anterior muscle in the mid-axillary line and supply this muscle. Okay, it lies on the medial wall of the axilla. Next is dorsal scapular nerve. It arises from, so this you remember given in your OSPE. You have to identify during the dissection, long thoracic nerve, supplying serratus anterior muscle. Next is dorsal scapular nerve, arises from C5 root and it pierces the scalenus medius and passes backward beneath the levator scapulae, supplies the rhomboideus major and minor muscle and levator scapulae. Okay. Next is suprascapular nerve, C5 and C6 root, arises from upper trunk in the neck, passes deep to the inferior belly of omohyoid to reach the suprascapular notch. Inferior belly of omohyoid were arising from near the suprascapular notch. You have read during the bone. Okay, so it lies in close relation with the inferior belly and where it passes deep to the transverse scapular ligament. This is also asked. Nerve passes below the ligament or above the ligament. Very frequently asked viva question during scapula. Okay, so the nerve passes deep to the transverse scapular ligament through the foramen and it supplies the supraspinatus and infraspinatus muscle. Next is nerve to subclavius. Root values of C5, C6 arises from the upper trunk and it passes in front of brachial plexus and subclavian vessels and it supplies subclavius muscle and sternoclavicular joint. Okay, so this is supplying area of nerve to subclavius. Next we are going to branches of lateral cord. 3 branches. Lateral pectoral nerve, root value C5, C6. It supplies the, you have seen the lateral cord is formed by joining of anterior division of 2 trunks, upper and middle trunk. So C5, C6, C7, all the root, same root values for these 3 branches. Like this you can remember the root values, okay. Root values are important for brachial plexus branches. So lateral pectoral nerve, root values are C5, C6, C7, supplies the pectoralis major and pectoralis minor muscles. It gives communication to the medial pectoral nerve across the axillary artery. And how will you identify the lateral pectoral nerve? It pierces the clavipectoral fossa. Clavipectoral fossa dissection class is there. You will see the lateral pectoral nerve. Okay. So it pierces the clavipectoral fossa, enter in the deep surface of pectoralis minor and reflect upward carefully pectoralis major to visualize the lateral pectoral nerve. Okay. Next is the musculocutaneous nerve. All these nerves you have to identify during the dissection and all these nerves can be given in your OSPE. You have to identify the nerve, related questions will be asked. Okay, supplying which muscle, at function, different types of function of those muscles, clinical aspect, all are important. So musculocutaneous nerve C5 to C7 root value is asked also OSPE. Lies on the lateral side of the axillary artery, supplies the muscles of the arm. These are muscles are supplied, coracobrachialis, biceps brachii and brachialis. Okay, and it further continues as the lateral cutaneous nerve of the forearm. Identification, how will you identify? It pierces coracobrachialis muscle. Okay, that's how you identify during the dissection. Pierces the coracobrachialis muscle and then emerges in the arm between the coracobrachialis and biceps brachii. Okay, then it will lie between the biceps brachii and the brachialis. Next is lateral root of median nerve. Here root value is also C5 to C7. It is the continuation of the lateral cord and it joins with the medial root of median nerve in front of third part of axillary artery. Together it forms Y-shaped structure. That's how you identify the medial root of median nerve, lateral root of median nerve. And this medial nerve supplies the muscles of anterior compartment of forearm and thinner muscles in the hand. Okay. Next we are going to branches of posterior cord. Here you will get upper subscapular nerve supplies the subscapularis muscle. Nerve to latissimus dorsi or thoracodorsal nerve, it supplies the latissimus dorsi. Okay, you have to identify the muscles during the dissection and supplying nerves will be, you have to identify. That's how you identify these nerves. Okay. Nerve to latissimus dorsi, you have to identify latissimus dorsi muscle, and the nerve entering this muscle will be the nerve to latissimus dorsi. Next is lower subscapular nerve. It supplies the subscapularis and teres major. Mainly this supply to teres major you have to detect and you have to identify it as the lower subscapular nerve. How will you identify? Upper and lower subscapular nerves and nerve to latissimus dorsi run downward posterior to the axillary artery and vein on the anterior surface of the subscapularis muscle, and it lie under the cover of fibrofatty tissue. Nerve to latissimus dorsi is larger and lies in between the upper and lower subscapular nerves. Okay. Next is axillary nerve. Here root value is C5, C6, supplies the deltoid and teres minor muscle. How will you identify? Axillary nerve lies posterolateral to the axillary artery, leaves the axilla by passing through the quadrangular muscular space, and to visualize this nerve, retract the axillary artery inferomedially. Okay, that's how you identify this nerve. Next is radial nerve. Here root value is C5 to C8 and T1. All the roots are present in the radial nerve. It is the thickest branch of brachial plexus and continuation of the posterior cord, and it supplies the triceps brachii, muscles of posterior compartment of forearm and skin of back of the arm, forearm and the hand. And how will you identify? It lies hidden behind the axillary artery, and to visualize the radial nerve you have to retract the axillary artery and other branches of the medial cord of brachial plexus laterally. Okay. Next we are going to branches of medial cord. 5 branches are there. First is medial pectoral nerve. Root value is C8 and T1. Okay. So medial cord, it was continuation of anterior division of lower trunk, and lower trunk was formed by C8 and T1. So for branches of this medial cord, maximum has root value C8 and T1. Okay. Only one exception is there, ulnar nerve, because one C7 root, some fibers of C7 root are joining with this nerve. Rest you see root value is C8 and T1. Okay. And for posterior cord branches, it can be any root value because all the posterior divisions were joining to form the posterior cord. Okay. So medial pectoral nerve C8 and T1 root value supplies the pectoralis minor muscle. How will you identify? It pierces the pectoralis minor and then enters in the pectoralis major. So when you will reflect the pectoralis major during clavipectoral region dissection, you will see the medial pectoral nerve, and reflect the pectoralis major laterally to visualize the medial pectoral nerve. It is pierces the pectoralis minor. That is how you identify. This point is important. Next is medial cutaneous nerve of arm. Here also C8T1, it supplies skin on the medial side of the arm. How will you identify? Very thin nerve runs on the medial side of the axillary vein, and intercostobrachial nerve may join this nerve. Okay. Next is the medial cutaneous nerve of forearm. Its root value is C8T1, supplies the skin on the medial side of the forearm. This is the identification part. It is a thin nerve and runs downward between the axillary artery and vein anterior to the thicker ulnar nerve. Okay. Next is ulnar nerve. It has a root value C7, C8 and T1, and it is the continuation of the medial cord, and it supplies 1.5 muscle of the front of the forearm and most of the muscles of the hand. This is the identification point. It is thicker, lies deep to the medial cutaneous nerve of forearm, and in between the artery and vein it is lying. Okay. This part is important, in between the artery and vein. Okay. And medial root of median nerve, it crosses the axillary artery anteriorly to join the lateral root of median nerve. Lateral root was branched from lateral cord. So these two roots of median nerve are joining to form a Y-like structure, okay? And that's how you identify the medial root of median nerve. Thus, the median nerve carries fibers from all the roots of brachial plexus, C5 to C8 and T1. Okay. Radial nerve was also carrying all the roots. Median nerve is also carrying all the roots. And ulnar nerve is carrying C7, C8 and T1. These three nerves, you have to know its course, relations, different branches during further discussion of the upper extremity. Okay. In all the areas you have to know, in the arm, in the cubital fossa, in the forearm, hand, all their branches, supplying area, all you have to know for these three nerves. Radial nerve, this median nerve and ulnar nerve, okay? And those axillary nerve and musculocutaneous, these are small nerves, these two also comes in your theory, okay? So, these are the different components, roots. From the roots, branches of brachial plexus. From the roots, branches are nerve to serratus anterior, nerve to rhomboides. These are important branch from the roots. Branch from the trunk, only have branch from upper trunk. Suprascapular nerve, nerve to subclavius. Branch of the cords, lateral cord has lateral pectoral nerve, musculocutaneous nerve, lateral root of median nerve. Medial cord has 5 branches, medial cutaneous nerve of arm, medial cutaneous nerve of forearm, medial pectoral nerve, medial root of median nerve, ulnar nerve. Posterior cord has upper subscapular nerve, lower subscapular nerve, thoracodorsal nerve, axillary nerve, radial nerve. Okay. Next, we are going to clinical aspect. All these clinical aspect comes in your theory, very important in explain why question or in short note. Abs palsy, Camke's paralysis, okay, and those Horner syndrome, all those comes in your theory short note. Important and also asked during your bones viva. Symptoms of the abs palsy, Camke's palsy, okay, Horner syndrome, all are important. Cervical rib and brachial plexus block also important. So injuries of brachial plexus may cause abs paralysis or Camke's paralysis and injury to nerve of Weil. Okay. What is cervical rib? Occasionally, a rudimentary additional rib in the neck called the cervical rib may be present, and sometimes cervical rib compresses the T1 nerve root. Okay. What is brachial plexus block? Brachial plexus block can be done by injecting anesthetic agent to paralyze and anesthetize the upper limb. And it should be done under ultrasound guidance to avoid injury to the nerves and the vessels. Okay. And upper trunk is the most common site of brachial plexus injury. Okay. So this is given during surgery over the upper trunk, brachial plexus block. You will see during different surgery, you will see during the final year or during the internship, okay, these different blocks. See here the relations where the brachial plexus block is given here around the axillary artery. This is second part of axillary artery. In this relation, this is laterally lies the lateral cord, medially lies the medial cord, posteriorly lying the posterior cord. Okay, so around the artery the cords are arranged. So here the anesthetic agent is pushed under the ultrasound guidance. This is ultrasound probe, and this needle is pushing this anesthetic agent. Okay, and this will paralyze all the cords and its branches. Okay, understood? Okay, and the branches have been shown. Here is the lateral pectoral nerve. It is supplying the pectoralis major. And you can see this is medial pectoral nerve coming from medial cord. It is piercing the medial pectoralis minor. After piercing, it is entering into the pectoralis major. So pectoralis major is supplied by both pectoral nerve, lateral and medial. Pectoralis minor is supplied only by the medial pectoral nerve, and this nerve is piercing this muscle. That is important identification point. And along the artery here vein is present. And see here the clavipectoral fossa. This is clavicle. Below the clavicle here is the subclavius muscle. On the two sides of subclavius muscle, these are the this clavipectoral fossa is bifurcating to be attached on the two lips of the groove for subclavius, and then it is forming the clavipectoral fossa, and you can see this lateral pectoral nerve is piercing this clavipectoral fossa before supplying the pectoralis major, and then this fossa is again bifurcating to enclose this pectoralis minor muscle and continues downward as the axillary fossa, okay, to form the dome shaped structure and at the base of the axilla. This is Arp's point. This diagram you practice, Arp's palsy is very important. Arp's point is joining point of C5, C6 roots, two branches, suprascapular nerve, nerve to subclavius, and joining of these two divisions, anterior and posterior division. 6 nerves are joining, okay? And this is the symptoms occurring in the Arp's paralysis. C5, C6 roots are involved. So site of injury is Arp's point of the upper trunk. This is meeting point of these 6 nerves, C5, C6 roots, anterior, posterior divisions of upper trunk, suprascapular nerve, nerve to subclavius. And why it occurs, Arp's palsy? Generally during pulling of head from the shoulder, during the delivery of the baby. During childbirth and pulling of the head, and if the child falls, if someone falls on the shoulder, there will be hyperextension of the neck, okay? Then there is chance of injury at this Arp's point. And it causes paralysis of deltoid muscle, which will lead to adduction of the arm, paralysis of supraspinatus, infraspinatus, and teres minor. This will lead to medial rotation of the arm, and paralysis of biceps brachii muscle will lead to extension and pronation of the forearm, and C6 root injury will lead to loss of sensation along the outer aspect of the arm, okay? And so the deformity due to all these paralysis will be policeman's taking tip hand, okay? This is very, very important for your theory. Which muscles are involved and their effects, okay, in Arp's palsy. Arp's palsy you prepare as a short note, okay? So see here, this during the delivery, hyperextension occurring on this side of the neck, and there is chance of injury to the Arp's point. Pulling away of head from the shoulder, stretching of upper trunk of brachial plexus, Arp's palsy. These are the symptoms, involvement of C6 root, loss of sensation over the lower part of the deltoid here. Sensation loss will be there. Paralysis of deltoid muscle, so arms will be adducted. Function of deltoid was abduction, it is lost, so arms will be adducted. Paralysis of supraspinatus, infraspinatus, and teres minor, their effect will be medial rotation of the arm. And paralysis of biceps brachii, extended forearm, pronated forearm, okay? So arms will be positioned like this. So this is policeman taking tip position, okay? So this is the position in Arp's paralysis. Next we are going to clump case paralysis. Here lower trunk is involved. Lower trunk root value is C8 and T1. So site of injury is lower trunk of brachial plexus. C8, T1 roots are involved. Cause is pulling of arm away from the trunk. Okay, pulling of hand during the childbirth and fall on outstretched hand. Fall on like this. This is outstretched. Fall on outstretched hand and pulling of the arm during delivery. See, if you pull the baby like this during the delivery, there will be chance of clump case paralysis, injury to the lower trunk. Okay, pulling of arm away from the trunk. What is the cause? Which muscles are paralyzed and their results? So paralysis of intrinsic muscles of the hand, ulnar nerve, so it will lead to claw hand. Injury to the T1 fibers will lead to loss of sensation along the medial border of forearm and the hand, and injury to the sympathetic T1 fibers will lead to Horner's syndrome. Horner's syndrome represents these symptoms: ptosis, drooping of the upper eyelid; miosis, contraction of the pupil; anhidrosis, loss of sweating, and enophthalmos, the eyeball will be um, pushed inward, okay, enophthalmos. So deformity will be mainly claw hand deformity like this, okay, this is claw hand. See, clamp case paralysis. See, this is the position of hand. So it is caused due to over pulling of the arm over the trunk, pulling of arm or hand to take out the baby during the childbirth. Injury of the lower trunk of the brachial plexus will lead to clamp case paralysis. And this paralysis of lumbricals will lead to claw hand due to unopposed action of the long flexure and extensor of the fingers. Involvement of T1 root will lead to loss of sensation along the medial border of forearm and hand, and injury to the sympathetic fibers from T1 root will lead to Horner's syndrome, and it will lead to ptosis, meiosis, anhidrosis, and enophthalmos. Okay. This is Horner's syndrome, you can see. Drooping of the upper eyelid, ptosis, constriction of the pupil, meiosis, and anhidrosis is absence of sweating of the face, and enophthalmosis, sinking of the eyeball into the orbit. Eyeball is pushed inward, okay. So this is features of the Horner's syndrome. This will be present in clamp case paralysis. Right side is affected eye, this is normal eye, okay. Compare these two, you will understand the symptoms. Okay, that's all. So clinical aspects are very, very important. You prepare a short note: Abs palsy, clamp case paralysis, brachial plexus block, cervical rib. All those are important short notes. Okay. And for brachial plexus, you prepare as a long question. Its roots, trunks, divisions, cords, their branches. Also important for viva table, bones fiber, and supplying areas. Important, all those nerves are important for OSPE also. Okay? Understood? So today's class is very, very important. Today you go and read this topic, complete within today. Otherwise you will forget. Okay? And root values you remember for all the branches. Root values are also important for Viva and MCQs. And branches are very frequently asked, branches of the chords in your Viva table, Bones Viva. Today you have Viva exam, okay, during the dissection period.